Hola, soy detective de la cultura investigando tu programa de TV favoritas. Is that okay? And today I'm going to do a review on the very popular Spanish TV show La Casa de Papel, or in English, Money Heist, which I don't even understand why is the English name Money Heist. Like, La Casa de Papel, the House of Paper. Why is it called Money Heist? Like, like in, I feel like this title is for people who don't know what this show is about. Like, oh, and they see the title Money Heist and they're like, oh, it's a heist. And what do you do in a heist? You rob money. Yeah, Money Heist. I get it now. Anyways, La Casa de Papel is a show created by Alex Pina, whom I've never heard of, and this show is super popular, and I don't know why I haven't heard of it until recently. So we decided to check it out and see what's all the fuzz about. By the way, I may butcher some of these Spanish words, so spare my life. So, this TV show is really, the arrangement is pretty strange. So there are 4 seasons now, and seasons 1 and 2 are also sometimes considered seasons 1, parts 1 and 2, because both seasons 1 and 2 are also connected. They're from the same story. So it's more like seasons parts 1 and 2 rather seasons 1 and 2. And also season 1 has 9 episodes and season 2 has 6 episodes when they are on Spanish TV. But when they are on Netflix, season 1 has 13 episodes and season 2 has 9 episodes. And the episodes are recut in a way they're shorter, because originally they're about 70 minutes long each, and then now they're about 50 minutes long each, sometimes 40 something. So it's really confusing and strange, but yeah, let's talk about it anyways. Episode 1 is called Efectuar lo acordado, or Do as Planned, and immediately we have an action-packed, intense, straight-to-the-point series opener. The first 10 minutes or so introduces us to a woman named Tokyo, which is not a real name. She was a criminal and was in the run. And then suddenly this smart guy who calls himself the professor offered her and a bunch of other people a job, and that is to rob the Royal Mint of Spain. And the rest of the episode is simply the heist of the Royal Mint of Spain, straight to the point, no build-up, no background, just bam, action. There were a couple of sub-storylines, like Tokyo fell in love with Rio, the tech guy who's also in the team. This guy who works at the Royal Mint called Arturo also had an affair with a colleague and got her pregnant. This school tour happened and was cut in the middle of the heist, and there was a bit of a romance going on between this pervert and this innocent girl, Allison Parker. Though I'm actually quite entertained by this episode. I think it's a solid opener. It's super straightforward, nothing complicated, just a plan in motion. The downside is that I don't know what's the plan. The heist is happening and I feel like I'm one of the hostages. I have no idea what their plan was. Episode 2, Imprudencias Letales. Actually, this is still episode 1, but that's the title of episode 2. Anyways, this is the episode where things start to actually happen, and they actually start to camp in the Royal Mint and continue to execute their plan. They know that one of the visitors of the Royal Mint would be this very important girl, the daughter of the UK ambassador of Spain, I think, Allison Parker. So they know that the police will send some men to force their way in, and so they executed their plan by telling the police that they're all wearing the same clothes and the same masks, so the police wouldn't dare go in and shoot everyone. And we also have complications in the whole Tokyo and Rio thing, and we also see lots of scenes concerning the cops, the most important of which is Inspector Raquel Murillo, who's in charge of the whole operation. And I guess I just weren't too interested in seeing her personal life, but I guess it's just really cool that the plan is also being executed outside the Royal Mint when the professor himself started to follow Raquel. Episode 3, Errar al Disparar, or Misfire, is certainly a step up from the last episode. We have more complications with the whole Monica trying to abort her child thing, whose father is Arturo. And some of the people in the heist team also personally advised against it. All at the same time, the guy who had an affair with Monica, Arturo, who's this really fat, cowardly guy. He wanted to seek help really bad and forced Monica to help him retrieve his secret second cell phone, which of course didn't turn out so well. But the biggest complication is Tokyo and Rio arguing and not noticing that someone is using their phone and the cops are secretly listening. This had led to the exposure of two of the heist members' identity, and the plot thickens. Up next, it is episode 4, Caballo de Troya, or Trojan Horse, and the plot thickens. Of course, given that I've seen a good number of TV shows, I know that Denver will not kill a person this easily. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. In fact, seeing Denver secretly help Monica makes me like this character so much more. Denver's dad, Moscow, found out and had anxiety attack. So there's this whole scene where Denver takes Moscow and other people to the rooftop and breathes some fresh air. But chaos happened when Arturo overheard some of Denver's conversation and a pretty good climactic scene happened. After watching that scene, I broke a glass cup, so that's proof that the scene is good. We also see a lot of Raquel's personal life, which I didn't care for all that much again, but I like how the professor is secretly hitting on Raquel, doing some sneaky sniffing around. The Tokyo-Rio affair thing kind of stopped being a problem, and now even Nairobi hates Berlin because Berlin was being such a cold-blooded asshole. Overall, solid episode, not bad at all. Over to episodes 5 and 6, even though when I checked the episode synopsis, when I wrote this part of the review, I still didn't know that Netflix recut the episodes into 13 episodes, and I thought there was some sort of error, which caused 4 episodes from season 2 be in season 1. So I thought I was watching episodes 5 and 6, but actually I was watching episodes 4 and 5, or actually episodes 5 only. Anyways, these 2 episodes are really solid as well. Nothing all that mind-blowing, but seeing how the professor is always one step ahead of the police is always really entertaining. Basically, after the police accidentally shot a hostage, the police sent some surgeons and doctors into the Royal Mint. All at the same time, the police try to infiltrate the heist by smuggling a cop into a thing through an underground tunnel. And then the professor already knew it's going to happen and had a plan. He told everyone to change their masks so that if the intruders come, they would have the wrong masks to disguise themselves in. Also, they put a bug in the nurse pretending cop's glasses. That's the plan. But all at the same time, we see more relationships developing, again with Denver, Moscow, and Nairobi secretly helping out. It just goes to show that these robbers, these heist men, they're humans too. In fact, some of them are good humans, if not most. There's a small scene where the English ambassador girl tries to threaten Rio but failed. Also a lot of flashback scenes regarding Tokyo and Nairobi becoming friends. These scenes are just alright, not really all that great. The Tokyo and Nairobi partying montage feels a little out of place, but still these episodes are okay overall. Then we have what's supposedly episode 7, but actually episode 5, El Dia de la Marmota, or Groundhog Day, and this might be my favorite episode so far. Not much happened inside the Royal Mint, but what happened was that the cops found CCTV footage of Tokyo and Rio visiting the Royal Mint before they did the heist. They found out that Tokyo had car keys and traced that car key to an Ibiza 1992, or Ibiza, and they traced that back to a car scrapyard. And the professor found out and had to race the cops to immediately get to the car and erase all evidence, and those scenes are suspenseful as hell. It actually gives me a lot of Breaking Bad vibes, which is really cool, where characters have to erase evidence but almost get caught. Other than that, we have a few scenes with Berlin threatening people and Tokyo speaking to Rio after Rio saw his parents in the news being super disappointed. These scenes are just alright, nothing all that crazy. I do think these scenes are necessary though. They build character and drama, and I appreciate that. Then we have episodes 8 and 9, but actually it is episode 6, La Cálida Guerra Fría, or the Hot Cold War. 2 episodes actually somehow considered 1 episode. Actually, no. Actually, it's like a little bit more than 1 episode originally. Anyways, it's getting confusing. Episode 8 is almost like a transitional episode. Not much happens. Raquel got an idea to find the Russian guy in the scrapyard to identify the professor, and it happened on episode 9. That was suspenseful, and again, really, really smart what the professor did about that. I thought that the professor would somehow disguise his face when he goes to the scrapyard, but instead he didn't think that through, so he had to come up with another crazy idea to stop the Russian guy from identifying him, and it's great. Strangely, what's going on outside of the Royal Mint is even more interesting than what goes inside. However, on episode 9, Berlin becomes so much more of a dangerous person and had discovered something that he shouldn't have, and so the professor told them to execute Plan Valencia, where the hostages scream and pretend to be killed while guns were firing. I don't know what the heck was going on, I didn't know, but it's fun trying to figure out what's the professor's plan. Episode 10 is actually episode 7, Refrigerada Inestabilidad, or Cool Instability. And this episode is pretty damn entertaining. Outside the Royal Mint, Angel, who is the sidekick of Raquel, begins to question the professor or his disguise as Salva. So there's a lot of tension there, and then inside the Royal Mint we finally know that Plan Valencia is only used to stall the police's time, making the police think that people had died, and make the inspector Raquel actually go to the Royal Mint and look at the hostages one by one. Other than that, we have Arturo trying to figure out ways to escape and hurt the heist team. And if I were him, I definitely wouldn't do that. It's stupid. It's foiling their master plan. I just play along and wait it out. But tension also arises with Allison Parker deciding to hide for some reason. Episode 11 is actually episode 8, Tu lo has buscado, or You Asked for It. And the episode is just alright. We don't have much progression inside the Royal Mint except for Rio trolling the police. What happens outside of the Royal Mint is what actually really interested me. Tension began to build when Raquel thought there was a mole in her team of police and actually accused Angel of being the mole, and Angel told Raquel that it might actually be Salva who's actually the professor, so this is getting more and more dangerous. Episodes 12 to 13 is actually episode 9, El que la sigue la consigue, or Whoever Keeps Trying It Gets It. And these two episodes are easily two of the best episodes of the series so far. The former episode is action-packed, it's huge, it's basically a gigantic mishap happened and it was disastrous, and seeing the people face it and try to handle it is just very entertaining. There's also a personal storyline happening where Arturo gets jealous of Denver taking care of Monica, and there's a short but pretty good fight scene. Episode 13 is just nerve-wracking. Raquel was so close to finding out the truth, and the professor almost had to do something extreme to cover that up, even though he was left with no choice. But instead, there was a little twist towards the end, which was not that predictable, but still good to watch. The ending is really, really suspenseful. Raquel somehow figured out the way to locate the villa and the team lived in, and managed to get a hold of a bunch of DNA samples, so that's very, very, very nerve-wracking. But of course, as it turns out, it's all part of the professor's plan. Overall, this is the first part of the first season, and it's actually pretty great. There are a couple of episodes where nothing seemed to happen, but still, in the full picture, this is some meat and potatoes heist movie upgraded to a more sophisticated TV show, and it's very, very entertaining. Then we have season 2, or more like part 2, episode 1 to 3, Se Acabaron las Mascaras, or Masked No Longer. And episodes 1 to 2 are fantastic. Outside the Royal Mint, the police found the villa in Toledo. Apparently the professor was already one step ahead of them and cleaned everything, so there's that. However, Alberto, aka Raquel's ex-husband, who's very abusive, found something that the professor didn't expect him to find, so he had to use some extreme methods to destroy that evidence, and it involves so much complication, and it's just one problem leading to another. Then we have the tension building inside the Royal Mint. The robbers began to think that the professor was in trouble, and some of them, especially Tokyo, believed that they should just spoil the whole plan and run away or whatever. Of course, Berlin and Helsinki were against it, so there's a lot of tension building, until at the very end we have a very surprising turn of events where, spoiler alert, but Tokyo was being forced to do something else, and she wasn't willing to, and it's devastating. And of course, Rio was really, really pissed about it, and I honestly really enjoy this part, and even though I usually don't side on Berlin, this is one instance I'm actually on Berlin's side. Episodes 3 to 4 continue to be entertaining and smart. What goes on outside of the Royal Mint is kind of interesting in that the professor is beginning to take back control again. He's on the upper hand again. But yet, a new dilemma arises. But what the professor did in the cop station was actually really friggin' smart, and it's impressive to see that. A lot went on inside the Royal Mint as well. Rio got upset and tried to tell everyone that Berlin sucks and Berlin wanted to kill Rio, but Nairobi intervened and took charge instead. And then they had an improvised plan that is Plan Cameroon, because people root for Cameroon when they're up against Brazil in the World Cup. So this shows that people always root for the weak. Their plan was to release the hostages that cooperated with the robbers and also do a live interview and show emotions and remorse and all that, so as to make sure that the public opinion is on the robber side. Episodes 5 to 7 are really great as well. The professor did a great oopsie, but his response to that is just so admirable. You kind of have to give props to the dude for staying so calm and be so clear of what to do and what not to do. And all at the same time, what Tokyo did was so ballsy, but I don't think it's that smart of a plan, because what goes on inside the Royal Mint is a bit too dangerous and off the rails already. I also enjoy the scenes between Denver and Moscow. They have a love-hate relationship, love-hate father-son relationship, and it just really strengthens the emotional bond between them. And also, it's awesome seeing Allison Parker be badass and stuff. Her character did actually go through a bit of an arc. Then we have the last 2 episodes, Bella Ciao. And boy, do the writers deliver on the last 2 episodes. We have a really emotional character death scene, and I, for some reason, cried at. Even though it feels like a really cliche death scene, the emotional bond between those characters are strong enough to actually make me tear up. Then we have a few scenes which wrap up a few storylines, like Helsinki hating on Arturo, or the beef between Nairobi and Berlin finally settling, or one final scene between Tokyo and Rio. I'm not crazy about these scenes, but at least they wrap things up nicely. Then we have the professor joining the team at the end after they finish digging the tunnel, and goddamn, were they so close to being caught. Ankiel woke up and Raquel had to rush over to him and convince him not to say anything stupid, and the secret tunnel was also exposed eventually. And the last episode is super action-packed, plus one heroic death scene, and then we have a really satisfying ending. Then we have a scene that takes place 1 year later, and even though it feels really fake and superficial, like wow, the professor is now hiding somewhere beautiful and exotic and living a good life, but still, it wrapped things up nicely, and I like to see that. It's conclusive, and I like it. Overall, La Casa de Papel Season 1, or Seasons 1 and 2, is solid. I pretty much enjoyed the whole season, whole way through. I love the idea of the show. It definitely pushes the idea of a heist-themed TV show to a whole new level, because this is one of the most, if not the most, elaborate heist I've ever seen on any media. Most of the characters are likable. The professor and Moscow are 2 of my favorite characters, and I also like how one problem leads to another problem, which brings a lot of tension and suspense to the story, which reminds me a lot of Breaking Bad. Even though I won't say I'm invested in all of the character relationship storylines, some of them are just a little forgettable, you know? Like, we don't need 5 scenes to explain Berlin having a crush on one of the girls, or another 8 scenes to show us that Tokyo and Rio are indeed in love. But still, they're not bad or filler or anything. Still, I think this is totally solid and enjoyable, and I like how straightforward and accessible this TV show is. My favorite episode is probably the finale, and my least favorite is maybe one of the earlier episodes in Season 1, probably Season 1, Episode 8, Netflix version, that is. I'm saying La Casa de Papel Seasons 1 and 2, or Season 1, Parts 1 and 2, they are pretty cool. They're cool stuff, and I'm giving it a strong 8 out of 10. Really want to give it a light 9, but I guess it just doesn't quite blow my mind enough to be a light 9. But still, great stuff, cool stuff, light 8, strong 8, very strong 8. So, have you watched La Casa de Papel? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. The next thing I will review is actually going to be Attack on Titan Season 3. And also Dark, the TV show, the Swiss TV show. and 13 Reasons Why Season 4. Because why not? Why not? Keep the cringe going.